Hello and welcome one and all to the Timber Report. How are you? Jim Dowson here, the longest serving guest presenter ever known to the order. Yes, camera. I'm still trying to get this camera a wee bit closer, but anyway, I'll have to do. Sorry about Mr. Griffin yesterday and last week. He's just getting a bit old and he's a technophobe like me, so he's having a bit of bother, but we've sorted it out today and seemingly was broadcasting for hours. But anyway, we've got it fixed. We've got it fixed now, so we should be with you next Wednesday. In the will of God, of course. So we've got an interesting show today. Obviously, you've seen the news. Prince Andrew has just been arrested. And people keep calling him former Prince Andrew. You're born a prince. It's not a title the government give you. You're born one. It's your birthright. So he still is, and he will be to the day he dies, Prince Andrew. He's been arrested, and rightly so. But it's not about what you think. But anyway, we'll come to that in a wee minute. Let me get into here. So I would suggest if I was his advisor, I would advise he read Psalm 40. We call this the National Psalm of Scotland, but it's wonderful words, and I think Andrew probably needs this. So it's Psalm 40, and we read you from verse 1, okay? I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit and of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. He has put a new song in my mouth, every praise unto God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. Amen. I mean, the Lord will add his blessing to this, the public reading of his infallible, inspired, and inerrant word. And the people of God said, Amen. Amen indeed. Funny thing, while I've got the Bible in my hand, I don't know how many of you have heard of it. There's a new Bible out. It's supposed to be the Reformed Bible, the new Protestant Bible is called the ESV. The ESV. And great men have backed it, but again, great men backed the NIV, we know what that is. But I don't like it, I'll tell you why. This is Textus Receptus, this is based on, this new Bible's built on manuscript, but based on manuscripts called Vaticanus and Sinaiticus. Now, let me just break that down for you. One of them was allegedly recently discovered in the Vatican vaults. The Vatican don't use it, but all the Protestants use it. So I'm a bit suspicious about that. The other one was Count Tischendorf or something. What was his name? Tischendorf, I think his name. Anyway, it was some count in the late Victorian era. It was wandering through the Sinai desert, as you do. And he just happened to walk past an old 4th century or 3rd century monastery. Again, as you do. And it just so happens, in the bin, in the trash can outside the monastery, just as he was passing, the monks had thrown out a lot of manuscripts. Of course they did. And he took them, and that's the basis now of most modern Bibles, this discarded manuscript, including the ESV, which was done by very Reformed people, which I can't get my head around. Just can't understand it. Now, there's a reason. There's a couple of things here. The chances of that guy just wandering through the desert and finding the monks putting that in the trash can is, at best, improbable. But let's say it did happen. Well, why do you think these monks who have been there since the 3rd century were throwing that particular manuscript out? Remember, these guys live there all their life. They're totally devoted to God, these Orthodox types. Why do you think they were throwing that manuscript out? Because they'd read it and realised it was no good. There was bits missing and it wasn't correct. So they threw it in the bin. And today, all the modern Bibles are based from that manuscript, and they rejected the manuscripts that underlie the King James and took those manuscripts. It's insane. It doesn't make sense. And you think about it, and you think, how could this happen? Now, I'm not casting aspersions on any great men, but the only thing I can think of is this, the age-old thing. That Bible is now the best-selling Bible in the world. It's netted into that committee who did it, who are all Reformed people, mainly Reformed people. That committee that did that owned the copyright on that. That Bible has pulled into them almost $1 billion. $1 billion. And probably the next 10 years, 3, 4, 5 billion. That's 5,000 million pounds. I don't know, but I would not be using that Sinai document or the Vaticanus. I would not be using them in a million years. But these people do. And I'm called a Philistine for rejecting it. But thankfully, I spoke to a very decent man, our bookbinder, and I asked him his opinion. He says, no, you're correct, Jim. You're 100% correct. No idea why so many good men backed that. But then again, back in the day, in the late 70s, lots of very good men backed the NIV, and we all know that's a bag of junk. So there we go. I don't know. There we are. Anyway, let's have a look, see who's in today. Ewan's in. Brady Fitzner's in. God bless you there in Texas. Kit Bear's in. God bless you, brother. Ewan Eggerstrom, how you doing, brother? Nice to see you. Westover 1314. How are you, sir? Marty says, Jade and I, you're glad the Prince Andrew's arrested. So are we all. Roger Madison, how you doing, Roger? Peter Holden's there. Matthew Schneider, God bless you, Matthew. How are you? And Brian Payton, nice to see you. Scott Phillips here in Texas. Yes. And who else? We got Troy's there as well. Troy's there. Yep. Mitch Cameron, how you doing, Mitch? And Sherry, still praying for you. You and Sherry, because Sherry's got her hands full now. Not only she's got to look after her mum and dad, who are very elderly, she's got to look after you now, Mitch. Goodness sake. So there we are. But she's a fine woman. I'm sure she'll do it. Who else have we got in here? Victory. Yes, how are you? Victory in Texas, and Brian Hope's here as well. Let me see who else we got. Okay. They're plodding on there. All right, can I just to remind anybody who's dropped off the church thing, because there are a lot of drop-offs, could you have a check at your account, make sure you're still on, because there's an awful lot of drop-offs. So just check your account. If you're not, just go back on and re-sign up again. You won't get sent the stuff again because we've already got it. But if you do that, I'd appreciate it. So yeah, it's a very interesting day. Prince Andrew arrested. Now, we're not really sure what it's all about. There's a couple of things it could be about. And I want to clear something up first, right? This is going to be, it's going to sound controversial, but it's not controversial. Andrew's up for a few things. He's up for this so-called, the women, the girls, with Epstein's mob, okay? He's also up for, when he was the trade ambassador, you see our royals have to work for a living. They don't just lounge about, do they? We use them as trade ambassadors, because especially when you go into Arab countries and whatnot, you can be a prime minister, you can be the president. Doesn't compete with being a king or a prince, does it? So it really is useful for us to send royals out and trade missions. But what he's seemingly done there is tipped off Epstein. But Peter Mandelson, who was our ambassador to America, done the same thing. So it could be that. And the other thing is there was chartered flights, they called them Lolita flights, coming out of the Stansted Airport in Essex. So it could be that. We don't know what he's been arrested for. But if he's been involved, the only one there really that's illegal, really, well, technically the Lolita flights are illegal, although nobody underage was allegedly on them. They're all women in their late teens, early 20s. But certainly passing over trade secrets, that's called insider trading. That is very illegal. You go to jail for that stuff. White collar crimes, very dangerous. But Peter Mandelson's been caught doing the same thing. His house was raided the other day. So I hope they all go to jail. I hope Mandelson and Andrew share a cell. How's that? But I think I need to clear something up. Andrew said, there's evidence now of a woman who was visiting Andrew. He was one of Epstein's girls. Let's just call them their real names. Call girls, high-class call girls, prostitutes, okay? They weren't 13. The woman was 24 years of age. She came to Britain 4 times on these Lolita flights to visit Andrew. You can imagine. And she was given tours around Buckingham Palace, other royal residencies. She dined in the Ritz and all the rest of it 4 times. So don't tell me that was some kind of pedophilic thing. Come on, be real. She's 24 years old. She was very, very well paid for it. And she had a life of Riley. Don't talk nonsense. And in fact, several of the women involved with Epstein have come out and said, listen, we knew what we were doing. And one of them was the friend of that girl who was accusing Andrew. Remember, she was 17. Guthrie, that was her name? Guthrie? Gutier, something like that. That girl, she's dead now. But her partner, her friend, the 2 of them were on it. They said, we knew what we were doing. We were young women. They weren't tiny wee 13, 14-year-old girls. They were 17, 18, 19 girls. They said, we knew what we were doing. We were getting paid a fortune by these sugar daddies and with a life of Riley. We knew it and we had no problems with it. And then all of a sudden, years later, her pal came out and went mad. But so we need to be a wee bit real about that. Was Epstein a paedophile? Yes, he probably was. Absolutely. Was he a scumbag? Absolutely. Was he a Russian agent? Absolutely not, as everybody's trying to say now he was a Russian agent. But he was a Mossad Israeli agent, 100%. And he was using that island that he had to get men into compromising positions and video them and then blackmail them for his own benefit? No, for the benefit of the state of Israel. So he's meant to be an American citizen. So that's what's been going on there, okay? So let's keep it real. Right. Let me see now. What else have we got? Marty says Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is in custody over his link to the late sex offender Epstein. He's arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Okay, so Marty says, so he's not up for any sex stuff. He's up for passing trade secrets over, which is a despicable act to do, especially from a royalty who's supposed to be above all that nonsense. So that's a despicable thing. If he's done that, he should be dragged through the courts and thrown in jail. That's it. 100%. Ken Woods here, how you doing? Nice to see you. Mitch says, thanks. You're doing well. That's good. That's good, Mitch. Nice to hear it. Prayers and support. Absolutely, Mitch. You know, we pray for our brothers here. We do pray for our brothers. 100%. And it's a great pleasure to do so. So there we are. Let me just see if I've got any pictures to show you this week. I think I showed you all the pictures. I think I've showed you them all. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, we're still cracking on. We're battening out one of the toilet walls now, and it's actually 3 inches out from the top to the bottom. It's 3 inches out. It's incredible. So you've got to batten it out. It's time consuming. Really, really time consuming, but we're getting there, okay? We're getting there. But there's a lot of weird stuff been happening today. A lot of weird stuff, unfortunately. And we've got a big controversy here at the moment in Britain. Now, I can't even remember the name of the party. Somebody might correct me here in the comments. Wait and I just see what I'm doing here. Oh, I'm going over to England next week, so please don't forget the volunteers, the boys in the streets, the boys on the actual street try to keep women safe from Muslim grooming gangs. Please don't forget them, because we've got them most of the stuff. We're still short of a few, what do you call these things? You call they vests? You know, not the vests, the cameras. Body cameras. We're still short of a few of them. So anybody can help us out there, please do so. We're about 5 or 6 of them short. I'll put a link up there. There you go. There's the link up there. Okay, folks. The link's there. Okay. What else have we got? Marty, police have been looking into alleged shared documents. Yes, I'm sure that's what he's done. Yeah, sharing documents. Yep. Yep, that's what they're doing. And Peter Manderson done the exact same thing. There's Andy Lightman. I spoke to you today, Andy. What a pleasure speaking to you. You're a good man yourself. I was talking to Andy. He's in the comments here. I was talking to him today. He's a right old boy, and he knows back in the day, he's much the same age as me, so he come up the same way as me, the old NF and all the stuff that went along with that. So lovely. It was lovely to speak to you, Andy. God bless you, brother. God bless you. And I hope you continue on strong with the Lord, my friend, because like the rest of us, you've been through the mill and you come out the other end stronger. Because remember, to everybody listening here, you know, a boy once phoned me up and he says, I've joined as an affiliate, but I don't think I can become a knight because you've no idea the things I've done. I says, well, it doesn't matter what you've done. If you're now a Christian, you're covered by the blood. Simple as that. Doesn't matter what you've done. Saul, you know, the Apostle Paul, when he was Saul of Tarsus, murdered Christians. In fact, he was probably there when he took part in the murder of Stephen, the first martyr. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're covered by the blood. It doesn't matter. This isn't, you know, listen, you know, whatever you've done, I've probably done far worse. It's as simple as that. And that's what people don't understand. And there's an old saying we used to say in the old mission halls, the old Baptist mission halls, Jesus can save from the guttermost to the uttermost. Because let me tell you, in the parable we talk about a rich man has got as much chance of entering heaven as putting a camel through the eye of a needle. That's a true thing. Rich folk tend to struggle with giving themselves up to Christ far more than poor people, because people get arrogant and their money becomes their idol. So, no, that's the thing. So anybody who ever thinks like that, don't, because we've all been there, we've all done it, and that's it. So there we go. That's the way it is. Okay. So there we are. This Prince Andrew thing's making big news across the world, right across the world. It's a big topic. But I want to talk to you about something else, and I'm sorry to bore the Americans, but it's important. It's important, this. It's okay. She's sitting here. That's Holly. She's after. I'll tell you what she's after. Get down. She's after that salami. My dogs went salami mad. I bought a packet of salami, and since I've got it, she's went completely mad. There you go. She's went completely mental. I need to throw that packet there. Some kids will be after me. She's went mad for the salami. I do like it myself. A good salami. So Andy Lightman saying, I absolutely honor. Thank you. Oh, Matt, the honor was mine talking to you and Sammy. And absolutely. No problem at all, Andy. No problem at all. Sorry I had to be abrupt, because when people phone me and they're really nice people like Andy want a blather, I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. I can't talk to you. I'm too busy. And it sounds terribly rude and self pompous. It's not. I'm genuinely mad busy. I don't have enough hours in the day. I'm pulling my hair out. I'm so busy. But anyway, we go on with it. Not boring, Jim. We want to know the truth about Andrew. Oh, well, he's been a rascal all his days. Now, let's be fair to the man. He was a war hero. He did serve in active combat in the Falkland Isle War when we had the war with the Argentinians. He was an active combat helicopter pilot. He did serve with distinction on there, and he didn't need to. In fact, he went against orders. He wasn't supposed to be there. But so did Prince Harry. Mm-hmm. Prince Harry was an Afghan, and he was under strict orders, especially by his granny, the Queen. No combat. He sneaked away, and he went into combat, full-blown combat. And he actually said, and I quote, I smoked a lot of ragheads. That's what he said. How could a young fella that end up like such a cuckold he is now with that Meghan Markle? I don't know. But there we are. But he's been up to no good, and he's been up to no good for a long time. And his old mother tried to put him in a straight and narrow, couldn't do it. But he's now they've washed their hands of him. So we'll see what comes of him. So there we go. But more boring British stuff. There's a new party arrived. Now I can't remember their name. Somebody else may help me. To the thing. Is it Restore? What's this new party? Advance? Restore? I don't know. So, dear me, it's complicated, folks. So Nigel Farage, who used to run UKIP, started this new party called Reform. They've been doing brilliant. They're on course to win the next general election. First time in 2 centuries somebody can break a two-party system. Because it used to be Tories and Liberals, now it's Tory and Labour. So for the first time in 2 centuries, he can beat it. What's it called? Restore? That's it. I'll need to take a note of that because I keep forgetting their name. Restore. Okay. So, Nigel Farage formed this thing called Reform, and they were polling way above Labour or Tories. Everyone going great, everyone wonderful, fantastic, excellent, no problem at all. But Nigel Farage didn't want to allow Tommy Robinson to join. That caused a row, and one of their just newly elected MPs, a guy called Rupert Lowe, took umbrage. Elon Musk came out publicly and said that Rupert Lowe should be the chairman, not Nigel Farage. There was a big row, and Rupert Lowe left because Rupert Lowe supports Tommy Robinson, and Tommy Robinson supports Rupert Lowe. Okay. In fact, I'll try and get that for you. I'll try and get a picture of that for you. Wait a minute, bear with me. I'll try and get that. I'll get that for you now because it's important. Because we've had quite a bit of pushback, even for our own members who should know better. I mean, we're supposed to be a wee bit smarter than the average person, you know. Wait, I'll try and get this for you. But let's have a look. I want to make sure nobody's in any doubt. Okay? And I'll get the other one for you. I've got 2 pictures with this because this is serious stuff and it's going to cause utter civil war in the right wing. Okay? Right. So this guy, Rupert Lowe, who's just elected as a Reform MP, left and started his own party, which in itself is very dishonourable. People voted for him on a Reform ticket, that party, and then he left and started his own thing. So that's dishonourable. What he should have done, if he wanted to leave, he should have gave up his seat and allowed the people to decide who they and stood as an independent and see if the people wanted him. But of course he wouldn't have won because the people backed him, not because he's him, because he's got no political background. And he's a multi-millionaire, he's worth about 30 to 50 million pounds. So he's no one of us. But he should have stood independently and seen if the people would vote for him. But they wouldn't have. They voted for the party, not him. So when he got elected, then he left almost immediately. Started his own party. That's dishonest. No wonder he supports Tommy. And no wonder Tommy supports him. Well, anyway, he started this new party called Restore. And the other mob who left at the same time was a guy called Benjamin Wahid Al-Habib, who's born in Pakistan. He had a party called something else, Advance or something. So he's threw his lot in now with Rupert Lowe in this Restore party. And you cannot go onto social media, especially Twitter, without being bombarded with this. I mean, Musk must be doing something with the algorithms. It's wall to wall. It's actually, I went home last night with a headache because I was so frustrated. Everywhere I went, it was just this. You must vote for this mob. Now, the reality is with this, this absolutely ensures that these 2 parties will cancel each other out. That means Labour won't be challenged. So they'll probably make a coalition with the Greens, who are off their heads. They are extraordinarily mad, eco-Marxist, identity politic fanatics. So that will be our next government in 3 years' time. And then after that, we've got to wait another 5 years. But that time's finished. It's too late anyway. There's not going to be a political solution to this. But there was a chance of busting the two-party system. But now there's not. So who does this benefit? So you've got a party the first time in 2 centuries can bust the old system. Now, Nigel Farage is no perfect. We've made that very clear. We don't like him. We don't like him personally. We know him. I know him. Nick knows him. But it was the only chance of busting the system. Only chance of busting the system. Not rescuing Britain, but busting the system, and maybe something better then could come of it. And then all of a sudden, just at the crest of their power, bang, this guy pops up with a new party and everybody's backing them. And it's really weird. The civic nats like Tommy Robinson, all the Zionists like Tommy Robinson, but also the white power, neo-pagan, Nazi, Nietzscheans, everybody, all of these people, complete opposite ends of the spectrum, are all backing this restore. And every bit of social media that we all know who paid for by the Zionists and neocons, they're all pumping it relentlessly every hour of every day. And I mean that. So who does this benefit? Who does this benefit? I'm asking you, who does this benefit with 2 of the only real right-wing parties cancelling each other? Who benefits? People say, well, Labour. Yeah, they do, but it's not them behind it. I'll tell you who's behind it. No, E1's in here. Now, I had an incident last night with to kick a boy, one of your men, one of your own people, with to kick him off Discord because he said he joined them to become an MP. Self-serving Torag. And he said, yeah, we want to destroy Farage's party because then everybody need to come with us. That's condemning this country another 10 years of extreme Marxist rule. If people are so stupid, they've no part in being in this order because that is self-serving, idiotic behaviour, moron behaviour. But anyway, let's see what my brother Ewan says here. Let's see if Mitch Cameron's... Hold on, I've got quite a few. Marty says, restore Britain if the British people support the reintroduction of the death penalty in a referendum. Restore Britain government would put Rubach to death. Okay. Well, I mean, he can say anything because he's not going to get elected. But let me tell you, the majority of people in Britain will not support the death penalty. About 70% of people will be against it. That's a fact. Right-wing people exist online. It's not the real world. Most people aren't online. So you can say that, but he's not going to get anywhere near the levers of power to even do that. And then you've got the International Court of Human Rights. You wouldn't be allowed to do it, even if every single person in Britain voted for it. You wouldn't be allowed to do it. But you'd lose that vote, just the same as you would lose a vote on abortion. If you asked everybody in Britain, do you want to keep abortion or do it? They would keep it. Death penalty? No, they're not bringing it back because most people in this country are liberals. Anyway, there's this. Mitch Cameron says, looks as if Ruger has been inserted into the picture to derail the possibilities of breaking the two-party... Yes, exactly. Has been... Yes, well done. That's well spotted, Mitch. Ewan says, Rupert's party is basically the same as the Swedish Democrats in Sweden. They take orders from Israel and have no problem with legal immigration. Yes, of course. And Rupert Lowe's already said it. And I've got a video here. He's already said there's no problem with legal migration. Well, out of the 20 million immigrants in Britain, you're lucky if 500,000 are illegal. So you get rid of 500. He says he's going to get rid of everyone of them, which is impossible with the international courts. Not possible. But let's just say he had a magic wand and he said, Shazam! And they all disappeared. So we're only left now with 19 million 500,000. So he's got rid of 500,000. We're still left with 19.5 million of them. It's nonsense. The whole thing is a take on. But I'm amazed. It's not the first time I've seen this kind of mass hysteria in the right wing. I've seen it with UKIP. When UKIP started, we're going to come to power. Do you know how many seats UKIP? And UKIP are very popular, right? Let me just explain to my American friends. They were mega popular online because they were getting backed and pushed big time, big money behind them. And they were massive, and they won a lot of European Parliament seats, which is a kind of fake election anyway. And everybody's saying they're going to win power. And they stood in a general election at the height of their power when Nigel Farage was on every channel. And remember, the establishment backed Nigel Farage and UKIP to destroy the BNP because that was a real threat. So everybody, the BBC, everybody backed Nigel Farage. He was at the height of his power. He was massive. They had 17 seats in the European Parliament. Oh my goodness, ahead of them. Everybody was saying they're going to win the election. They're going to be the next Prime Minister. UKIP's going to take over. Of course, we've seen all before. We've been at this. Listen, I've been at this 50 years. Nick Griffin's been at it 55 years. We've been at this a long, long, long time. And we said, he's going to win nothing. Do you know how many seats they won out of 650 parliamentary seats? Do you know how many they won? 0. They got 5.5 million votes. Over 5 million votes out of a possibility of people voting in elections here. There's about 22 million people vote here. and he got 5 million. That's a quarter of all the votes. They get 0 seats because we're on a first past the post. That's the electoral system we've got in Britain. So UKIP, were a quarter of the national vote, got no seats, none, 0. They got 2 MPs, but they were Tories who crossed over, defected to him. They never won a single seat. So that anybody who thinks Rupert Lowe and that can do this is madness. But I've seen this. I lived through this. Hysteria with UKIP, and it came to nothing. No seats, 0. Now we have a real chance. This Rupert Lowe's popped up. So nobody's got a chance now. So Lowe will win no seats, and Reform will maybe win 10 out of 650. But if Rupert Lowe wasn't there, UKIP would win a majority. They'd maybe win 300 seats, 350 seats. They would maybe even have a clear majority. It's craziness. But that's what's happening. But again, who benefits? Well, the old parties benefit, of course. But the real beneficiary are the neocons/Zionists. And I'll tell you why. We've seen an organisation called the Lotus Eaters getting massive funding a couple of years ago, and we wondered, why are they getting that funding? Because they're not doing anything. They were in a little warehouse down in South England. We thought, why are they getting all this funding? I'm talking millions here. Why are they getting that funding? They're not doing anything. And then we suddenly discovered they had a massive studio set up. So all the right-wing talking heads are basically produced by this outfit. And they were one of the first ones to push Lowe. And Elon Musk's at the back here. I'm not saying Elon Musk is totally funding it, but I'm not saying he's not. I've no proof either way. But somebody big's funding it. And who does it suit? It suits the Zionists, because they will back, and they have in the past backed many, many right-wing parties. They backed Tommy Robinson. But the last thing they want is a real right-wing party, even if it is a bit Sibnat at the moment and Nigel Farage at the head of it. Because what would happen is if he got elected, the new talent, the new blood coming up through are maybe younger, more extreme, more patriotic, more ethno-nationalist, anti-Zionist. Within 5 years, they would take over. And Israel cannot have that. They cannot have any Western nation with a genuine right-wing Christian ethno-nationalist patriot in charge. They cannot have that. So they're quite happy to boost this guy Lowe. A spoiler. So it means that the two right-wing parties don't succeed at all. People then become extremely frustrated, and then they believe what we tell them, and we've been telling them there is no political solution. So therefore, it hastens up the civil war. So in one way, we're not that bothered. We're not that bothered because it's maybe a quicker way of getting what's coming anyway, getting it over and done with. So we're not bothered. What we are bothered about is the level of naivety and stupidity that people cannot see this. Now, thankfully, most of our people can see it, but there's one or two of our people who don't see it. Would they throw a guy off Discord last night? Couldn't see it. That is a level of immaturity and political naivety that has no place in the Templar Order. It really doesn't. If you're that stupid, you shouldn't be in the Templars. It's just craziness. It's madness. And if you're that stupid and you won't take our advice, because we know these things, we've done this professionally, we've done this as part of our living for 50 years. We're not daft. Between me and Nick, we've over 100 years experience between us. You throw Jada in, you've got almost 120 years. You throw Imri in, you're back up to 160 years. You throw a couple other people in. You know, our Council of Nine's probably got 400 years between them. So it's craziness. Some 23-year-old or 35-year-old or 40-year-old guy thinks they know better. They don't. I can assure you, they don't. So there we are. Let me see who we got here now, Andy. Yeah, Andy Lightman. Another false flag nationalist party. Of course they are, Andy. Yeah, crisis. Man, people saying, but Rupert Lowe's going to deport everybody. I could say anything. I could say, I'm going to deport everybody. No chance it ever happening. No chance he even getting elected. And now he's saying he's bringing back a death penalty. Utter nonsense. And people are saying, but he's a true Christian ethno-nationalist. Well, he's not a Christian. I know people who know him personally. Again, the Templars know stuff that others don't. I was talking to a man yesterday who goes shooting with him. Yep, who goes shooting with him down in his estate. He's a multi-millionaire. He's almost as rich as Tommy Robinson. But he goes shooting with him now and again. And he says he's an arrogant, pompous, bombastic. And he's quite stupid, even though he's made all that money. But he's still quite thick, and he's not a people person. So even in the next couple of months, when this party tries to have a conference, and he's got to be answerable to party, he's still going to fly. Plus, he's going to have a room full of serious ethno-pagan, Nietzschean, neo-Nazi, white power nationalists. He's going to have these deluded, naive Christian nationalists. and he's going to have all these kind of daft middle-aged women in the middle. I'd love to, if I can get tickets for that, I'm going to go to that conference because I think it'll be the best punch-up and since John Wayne in Rio Grande. I think it'll be one of the best punch-ups ever. It cannot work because he's promising everything to everybody, but he's not real. The man is a charlatan himself. So there we go. Good morning from Alaska. How you doing? David, I think it is. The Scott Phillips says, like when the American Tea Party was infiltrated. Exactly. Same thing. Okay. Kit Bear says, there's no way on this earth they will ever allow a nationalist party to come into power. Exact, Kit Bear. This is what this is all about. This is just about stopping a real nationalist. I mean, Farage isn't a real nationalist, but if they won power, you would soon see him getting ousted and young blood coming up, and they would probably be real ethno-nationalists. That could, even the risk of that, Israel wouldn't take that risk. They're very smart. They wouldn't take that risk. And they're right, because that's what would happen. That's what would happen. Jesus said, do not be deceived. Absolutely. There's so many people. But remember, I done a sermon the other week. I can't remember where it was. It was in the Old Testament. And I done a sermon on people are deceived because they're not lovers of the truth. They don't love the truth. That is why they're easily deceived, because they're not lovers of the truth. I did a sermon on it about a month ago. John Stewart family was listening on X Discord just for full-blown nights can affiliate. Okay, on X Discord. Is Discord for full-blown nights or can affiliates join? Affiliates can come on Discord, yes. Marty about Restore Britain on the yeah, Jada put it about Restore Britain yesterday. Jada's no daft. She knows the score. Jada knows fine well what's going on. So do I. So does Nick. We all know. Yes, that's what's going on. But look, just in case anybody's in any doubt, have a look at this. There we go. Rupert Lowe backs Tommy. That was a big public thing he done. Okay, Rupert Lowe backs Tommy. And that's one of the reasons he left Nigel Farage's party, because Nigel wouldn't let Tommy in. Tommy's a convicted felon. And here's the other one. Tommy backs Rupert. So there we go. Rupert backs Tommy. Tommy backs Rupert. There we are. And, there's certain rules to parties. You're not supposed to allow in convicted felons. Tommy Robinson's a convicted fraudster. He's convicted also of trying to enter America illegally. He's also convicted of mortgage fraud, false representation. He's convicted of loads of things. But Elon Musk was pushing for Tommy Robinson. Nigel Farage rightly said no. And then Elon Musk said, Rupert Lowe should be the leader. And Farage says no. He defied Elon Musk. How dare he? And he took himself off. Although he was elected on that party's ticket, he went and formed his own party. So he's a man of little integrity himself. But anyway, the mass hysteria we're suffering from right now in Britain is incredible. And it's so sad to see 99% of their so-called right wing being duped by this. Yep. It's very sad to see. It's quite worrying. There we go. I'll put this link up again for the boys in the street, because I'm going over next week. We'll see how we go on. I think next going with as well. It's too, let me see now. So just to round this bit off and get rid of it, here is Rupert Lowe. These people think he's a Christian ethno-nationalist, right? So everybody's joining his party because they think Rupert Lowe is a Christian ethno-nationalist, i.e. he will deport every immigrant. Anybody who's not white European, they're out. That's what they think. This is him in his own words.
I think Nigel's right. I don't care about people's religion or their color or whatever. If they come here and they want to make a contribution and they're here on merit, I like merit. Merit is the key. And I don't have any preconceived views that, you should be of any creed, culture, color or whatever. I think the only overriding factor for me is merit. Yeah. If you've got...
Well, there you go. There you go. Remember, 19,500,000 people who are here legally working. There's only 500,000 come in illegally. So that's the only ones he's talking about. He would throw out, but he wouldn't be able to throw them out anyway. But there you go. That's the reality. This is like some kind of... I was talking to Nick Griffin about this. And it's a human thing. When I studied for the ministry, I had to study, unfortunately, Carl Hans Jung, the famous psychologist. Now, we don't agree with him. We don't agree with psychology. We think it's rubbish. Christ is a great physician and a great healer and great. He's the only person you need. You don't need these crackpot cranks, quacks. But anyway, Jung was one of the best people to read human psychology. That's human nature in plain words. And Jung said a very interesting thing. When people are faced with a problem that's so huge, they do a couple of things. 80% of people freeze and do nothing. Now, we've seen that in the tsunami. Do you remember the big tsunami in Indonesia, Christmas Day or something? Do you remember it? When the tide went out? Most people, 80% of people stood in the beach just looking. Even when the waves started coming in, they took them ages before they started running. 20% of people knew it was going and started moving away, but slowly. And only 3%, actually, of that 20, only 3% of them fled, woof, gone. And that's the human psyche. 80% of people cannot deal, they cannot process the magnitude of what's happening. So the demographic collapse of the West, the complete and absolute collapse of our countries in our own lifetimes. They cannot process that. They cannot process it. The complete takeover of our country by Islam, they cannot process it. They can see it all around them. I mean, Bradford, for example, has got 130 mosques. They cannot process it. It's too big. So that's the 80%. They're just standing frozen. But it also leads to a hysteria inside people. So they're very easily conned by anybody who says, I've got the answer. Because they don't want to see their families murdered and massacred in pogroms and internecine warfare in the streets. They don't want to have to get a gun and go and kill people themselves to protect them. They don't want to do this. So somebody says, I've got the answer. You don't need to do this. And everyone's going to be fine. Even though they know in their heart it's nonsense, they'll follow it. So 80% of people can do nothing. 20% of people actually know there's something really, really, really wrong. But again, they're suffering from this mass hysteria, this mass psychosis. And they're the ones who are the ones now joining the Rupert Lowe party. Because they're quite active. They're the 20% that's actually awake. They're going, nah. But there's only 3% of people who can see what's going on, who can analyze it coolly, calmly, and say, that's what's going on. This guy's a false prophet. This is the reality, and make a conscious decision based on reality. That's the 3%. And my friends, my Templar friends, brothers and sisters, you are the 3%. That's why we threw a guy off Discord yesterday, because he's obviously became a Templar. Well, an affiliate, but he ain't the 3%. He's not the 3% because he can't see it. Do you understand? You're the 3%. And that's why everybody around about you thinks you're crazy. They think you're crazy. Am I right? Your family think you're crazy. Your work colleagues think you're crazy. Maybe even your husband or your wife thinks you're crazy. No, you've got clarity. You can see. You have clarity. Your spirit, well, not your spirit, the spirit of God in you has given you discernment and clarity. It's not because you're that clever. Calm yourself. Back down a bit. You're not that clever, but God is. And God has given you the wonderful gift of discernment, and that's one of the gifts that the Holy Spirit gives. You know, the Pentecostals all want the gift of healing, the gift that is raising the dead. No. The best gift God gives us is the gift of salvation, followed by the gift of discernment. And you have got that. So well done, and God bless you. Right, moving on. Michael Wells says it's crazy how rare courage really is. Very rare, very rare. Okay. Oh, I wonder, Ewan, can you stick a link to the new shop up, please? Could you put a link up to the new shop? It'd be very good. Yeah, brother Paul there, Telfer saying, what does a bouncer? What's my bouncer hid in the toilets all kicked off? I know. Paul, I've seen that. I've seen that big fights breaking out about some bouncers hiding in the toilets. Unbelievable. It's really crazy. But, you know, things can get very rough outside, and it's all right talking the talk, but walking the walk. But a lot is to do with being sensible. I mean, honestly, being sensible. I mean, I've been in bars when I was younger, and big guy 6'4" come up and said, I want to fight you. And I've said, no, thanks. You're 6'4". You're 275 pounds. You know, at that time I was about 140 pounds. I went, nah, no thanks. But I mean, I would have went for him. If he'd have went for me, I'd have get stuck into him, but I'd have been mangled. But a lot of it's discernment. You got a lot of people nowadays yapping and shouting and bawling in a physical situation when they really shouldn't. They should just chill out a bit. And most fights are avoidable. And that's the same in politics. This is the problem in politics. And I believe a lot of these people who are going towards Lowe's party, it's because a lot of them are cowards. and they'll do anything. They'll cling on to any hope that they don't have to fight. But most of them are actually are suffering from a form of psychosis. They know we're done. I mean, it's hard for us in Britain because we've got thousands and thousands of years. Our ancestors have been here since the ice sheets rotated 7,000 years ago. We've been here for thousands of years, and now it's all over. That's a very difficult thing to take in your brain. But I can tell you this, my friends. Aye, it's over, as in the whole structure that we recognise and what we've built over these last, especially 2,000 years since the Romans left. But it ain't over for my tribe. It ain't over for the people of the same blood that's in my veins. That's not over. We will fight. And if we have to be driven up into the Highlands, like this, I mean, the Romans never took Scotland, remember? If we have to be driven up into the Highlands of Scotland, into the mountains, and fight as mountain men, and bushwhack and ambush, we will do that. And I will raise my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids, and hopefully they will raise theirs and theirs and theirs to be bushwhackers, to be ambushers, to be militiamen in the mountains of Scotland. It doesn't matter. We will never, ever, ever surrender this land to the Mohammedans or anybody else. We will never surrender this. You need to get this into your skull, people. And people who say, well, what's the point? It's just the difference, I think, between a lot of Anglo-Saxon blood types and Celtic blood people. The Anglo-Saxons, like the Germanic peoples, they analyse things and think, well, it's completely impossible. We're totally outnumbered. It cannot be done. It just cannot be done. So therefore, we'll leave, or we'll come in an appeasement. I'm Celtic. We don't think like that because we've always been on the wrong side. We've always been on the small man side, normally on the losing side, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's protecting your dignity and your pride as part of this tribe and fighting when fighting needs to be done, not just because you think you can win it. Winning it's irrelevant. It's fighting the fight is important. And that's what in the Bible we're told. Paul tells us to finish the race. He didn't tell us to win the race. He told us to finish the race. So I can assure you, the British people, who are predominantly Celtic, by the way, there's not that much Saxon blood in Britain. It's predominantly Celtic. We will fight in the valleys of Wales, in the Highlands of Scotland, in the marshes of Norfolk, in the bogs and moors of Devon and Cornwall. We will never surrender. We will fight and fight and fight. And I'll tell you, I'll put one Englishman, Scotsman, Irishman, or Welshman up against 1,000 of the Mohammedans. They're one generation away from living in mud huts in Bangladesh. Get flooded every year. Load of nonsense. They think they can take this land from us? Our ancient land? Are you crazy? We fought the Romans to a standstill. We fought and defeated the Vikings. We beat the Kaiser. We beat Hitler and the Nazis. Sophisticated enemies. And you honestly think that people are going to come from a hideous fourth world hellhole and come here, marry their cousins, become half daft, and take us on and take our land from us? No. We're living in an artificial scenario at the moment. We're living in a parliamentary democracy that they're abusing and they're using much to their advantage. See when it all breaks down? When that breaks down and the civil war kicks off in this country, I'm telling you, if you're a Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Islamic of any description from Mogadishu, Africa, whatever, you had best get on the first boat out. Well, you can, because you ain't going to win this fight. You won't even survive it. Am I right, dog? She agrees. They ain't going to win this fight. They will be destroyed. Destroyed. Just the same as when Joshua was setting up the AI. Destroy everything with breath. And that's what's going to happen. So they've been warned. So stop wasting time in daft politics. What's coming's coming. Brace yourself for it. Prepare for it. And be a man and do your duty. Okay, right. They knighted the mayor of London. I know, it's crazy. We serve, John Kopasaki says, we serve the word of God, fight for the glory of God, and win by the grace of God. Amen and hallelujah. Let's hear an amen for that. Amen indeed. Very idea of these people, these absolute imbeciles coming to this country, it's taking us on. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. There you go. She's gotten, John Kopasaki's noticed the dog. The dog knows. The dog knows. The dogs don't. There's another thing. Did you know this, my American friends? Where is that creature? Holly. Oh, there she is. Come here. Come on up. Come here. Come here. Show it. Come here. She's not want to come up. Come on up. Good girl. Good girl. Come here. Come here. Come here. Good girl. When I get up. Come here. I want to show people you. Muslims believe they don't have dogs. They're frightened of dogs, but they're very frightened of black dogs because they think the black dog's a jinn That's a genie or a devil, a demon. They're terrified of black dogs. So guess what I've got? Good girl, isn't you? We've got 3 black dogs up on our property. But this is the prairie dog, and she's a fine dog. But you're right, John. Look at the size here. I mean, she weighs about 12 kilos. For the size, that's about 26 pounds. Crazy. Anyway, God bless you. So I'm going mad here. But I just get annoyed when people lose heart and say, Jim, you're black pilling folk. Why are you so defeatist? I am not defeatist. I will fight to my last breath, even if I'm 75 years old, if the good Lord spares me. And I think I'll fight with anything I've got. Rifles, knives, broken glass. And if I'm on my back, I'll bite them in the ankles. I'll gouge at them. I'll poke their eyes out. I'll do anything. I'll fight till there's no fight left in me. So don't call me a surrender monkey or a black pillar. I will fight like a tiger until the good Lord takes me home. Make no mistake about that. But we have to be realistic. We have to realise politics will not save us. And Rupert Lowe, birds of a feather, listen, he supports Tommy, Tommy supports him. I rest my case. And finally, you know Tommy's a con man. He's a bad man. He's the thief. You know that. So Rupert Lowe supports him. So what does that make you if you can support a man who supports a thief and a liar and a reprobate? So think on. Right, moving on swiftly. I forgot to show you that.
Get to some breaking news that's happening as we speak in the United Kingdom, where it is on its way towards lunchtime on a Thursday. The reports are that Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew, has been arrested. Now, the suggestion is that police have arrived at the former prince's home. Now, this information is very fresh to us right now. It is the BBC who is making this reporting as we speak. But Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor, as he is to be known now, of course, the former Prince Andrew, all of the questions that have surrounded his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, all of the questions that have extended into potential domestic consequences that may be for him in the United Kingdom. Now, we will learn over the next hour exactly what has taken place, but 8 officers have arrived at his home in the past few minutes. They've arrived in 6 separate Metropolitan Police vehicles. Now, one of the accusations that was being levelled at the former Prince Andrew is that when he was the trade envoy, and he was for the best part of more than 10 years, he was representing the UK government. Now, obviously, he was above party politics as to whether that was a Conservative government or a Labor government. But amazingly here, that question of misconduct in public office is what this all connects back to, because some of the suggestions have been that information that he may well have learnt in the privileged position of being the trade envoy, he may well have spoken about that information outside of the areas that he was supposed to be doing so, potentially even with Jeffrey Epstein. But again, we will see all of this play out in the next little while. This is a potential jailable offence. Now, we know that the former Prince Andrew has said of any and all allegations that have been made about him in the past in relation to his proximity and allegations in and around Jeffrey Epstein that he has claimed to be innocent. Well, this is, again, a very different take on things, and one that does not require what the United States authorities have been able to find out. It is not related to the investigations that have happened in the Parliament in the United States, which, of course, has been very active. But, of course, he's not an American citizen, so he hasn't been able to be compelled to learn more about this.
So, well, this is going to roll and roll. But listen, doing that kind of stuff, if he's done it in public office, considering who he is, they should throw the book at him. But what are you going to do with a prince in jail? Can you imagine amongst all these Jamaican yardies and skinheads and gangsters and cutthroats, you know, I say, how are you? I just can't imagine. They're going to have to build a prison for him or something. But anyway, prison he should go if he's found guilty of this. Outrageous and a disgrace. Call it as a pleasant, as a piece of sandpaper underpants. Just as irritating. I agree with you, Kat. He's a horrible reprobate, boy. Anyway, moving on. But there's all this indignation around about, but you know, what do people really do? Very little. There's more people should go to jail regarding that Epstein thing. But anyway, again, my rant about defending Britain as a Celt is one thing. But let me tell you something. There's a lot of Celtic blood in England. And I want to show you something right now. This happened yesterday, Shrove Tuesday or Pancake Tuesday, you want to call it. This happened yesterday in a wee town called Atherstone. You won't believe this. This is how football started, or soccer as you call it in America. They do this every year in several towns. Nick will tell you. If the Muslims think the inbred, cousin-abusing Muslims think that they can take on the English, not mind the Scots, they might be silly enough to think they can take on the English. The English will beat them. But, you know, they probably don't even think about taking on the Scots or the Irish or the Ulster folk because they know we'll beat them. But they maybe think they could beat the English. Well, think again. Have a look at these young men. And there's millions of them. Millions of them. Well, this is how soccer started. It used to be between parishes, and in Glasgow in the 1400s, the bishop banned it because people were getting killed. And people say, this is madness. It's not madness. These are young men. Young men are mad. They're crazy. Young men they need to get their aggression out, and this separates the men from the boys and the wimps from the tough guys. Now, of course, it's stupid. These guys are going to go home with bust noses, bust faces, teeth missing, and all the rest of it. But that's the way it's always been. I grew up in that kind of culture. It's the way, here with the band culture, bands sometimes just attack each other because there's rivalry. That's normal for young men in their teens and early 20s to behave like that. It's completely normal. And that's how you get your warriors. You don't want somebody who's, oh, well, I don't know, but I don't indulge in fist fighting. It's rather rough. Who wants that to defend you? You know, we're old guys now. I'm an old guy. I'm going to fight to the death. But what can I do, really? Seriously, at my age, what can I do? So, these are the young men I want to see around here defending me when I'm an old guy. I'll do what I can, but I can't do that much, can I? I'm old. I'm getting old now. I'm past my best. Let's be honest about it. Most of you on here are. But millions of young men like that, oh, we're flying, because that's natural aggression. Testosterone is not low amongst them boys, I can tell you. Fierce young Englishmen. God bless them. And soon they'll have uniforms and rifles in their hand. That's what's coming. It's mad stuff. Mitch Cameron says, it reminds me of the game we played as children called Smear the Queer. Smear the Queer. We didn't play that because we didn't even know these people existed when I was a boy in Scotland. We never knew there was such people in the world. We had no idea. There we go. There we go. John Kopasakis says, just give them a couple of pints and release the dogs. Absolutely. They're mental. They're mad. But we've got to be realistic. Most of us in the Templars are getting old, right? Nothing wrong with that. But what we lack in the old arms now, in the legs, we've got up here. And it's up to us to share what we've got with these kind of young men. That's why I'm going to England next week. These guys are going over this street patrol. They're good guys. They're going to church. They're all just newly discovered Christians. They're serious. But they're street guys, you know what I mean? They're tough street guys. They're ex-doormen, MMA fighters. They're a bit wild. But I can't go over there and teach them how to fight or my physical prowess. I'm a grandfather. I've got to go over and give them the one weapon that I've got that they don't have. And it's going to take them 30, 40 years to get that. The knowledge I've got in there. And I will impart that to them so they don't have to make the mistakes I made for 40 years. That is our duty, is mature. That's the word, no old. Mature gentlemen. Mature fighters, old tigers. We have got to pass on what we know to the young men who've still got the strength in the arms and the legs, because they're the boys that's going to be doing the fighting. So please pray for these young men. And if you can, help them out. I'll put a link up finally here again, because I have to hurry up and get off here. I've been on too long. Ken Wood says, ranked even with dodgeball. That's what we played, dodgeball. That's what we used to play. Andy says, I watched tough Muslims freeze when dog barks at them. That's why I've got dogs. So quickly, here's what we've got. This is in Bradford. It's a Muslim place, and they have 130 mosques in one city in England. We took a load of Hungarian nationalist youths to this, and one of them started crying when he seen it. Have a look at this.
من صليت بكل الأنبياء يا من في قلبك رحمة للناس يا من ألفت قلوبا بالإسلام يا حبيبي يا شافعي يا رسول الله بأمي وأبي فديتك سيدي صلاة وسلام عليك.
That's enough of that. You get the message. 130 of them have got in that one city. And across the road for that is the biggest boxing gym and MMA gym you have ever seen in your life. They're training. They're preparing. No make any difference. We'll still beat them. So what is that there? I was going to show you something here, but I've got to hurry up because I'm under pressure. What is that? I don't know what this is. Bear with me. Bear with me here. Wait a minute. So I was going to show you this. I thought Tom Hiddenfeld was in because he loves a bit of marching, that man. So I think I seen him in Discord. I thought he'd been here. Anyway, somebody's like a bit of marching. Let me show you this. It's a wee bit jazzed up, but this is a band coming back to their own wee local projects. It's like a working class area where the poor people live, but nice working people who work for a living, no people who are drawing welfare checks. This is them at night coming back from a big parade into their own district. Look at the joy in these people's faces. Aye, they're drinking and all that. But anyway, it's a celebration. Have a look. There we go. Brother West here, I hope you didn't forget the scripture reading. No, you must have missed it. I read it. Psalm 40, the national psalm of Scottish survival. Psalm 40, I read the first 3 verses, brother. You must have missed it. Psalm 40, so what to catch up with. Psalm 40, first 3 verses. I waited patiently on the Lord and his ear did incline. We sing that in Psalms. It's beautiful. It's my favourite, actually. I think, did you have that at your wedding, Sammy? Psalm 40? Yeah. Psalm 40, yeah, Sammy had that at his wedding up in Bob's church. Beautiful. So there we go. Under the bridge. You can't beat under the bridge. Yeah. Yes, I've done the scripture reading. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this wonderful thing. I'm going to leave you. Did I show you that yesterday? They're building this massive statue. I think I did. I'm going to leave you with Day of Wrath, the Day of Wrath. Because yesterday was Lent, at the start of Lent. So we Shrove Tuesday, then Ash Wednesday. So yesterday, today, all over Northern Ireland, everybody's looking at each other's heads because there's still a wee bit of tension here. So the Catholics have all got the ashes on their heads. I was going to put ashes on mine just to confuse everybody around here, and I thought, no, I'll make it short. But I personally don't do Lent, okay? I do think fasting's a very good idea. I've nothing particularly against Lent. It's like I don't do Christmas either. I've none particularly against people doing it at all. So if you are on Lent, Sammy's doing it, isn't you, Sammy? What have you gave up? Dominoes. He's gave up dominoes. He's never played dominoes in his life. No, pizza. I know it's pizza. He's gave up domino pizzas and Coke. Oh, come on. No. Is that it? Coke, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, no Coke as in Colombian marching powders type. But I think you need to give up some a wee bit more than that. You know, Orthodox Lent starts this Sunday. That's right. Sammy told me that. So no problem, Wes. No problem. So any's doing Lent. I pray that the good Lord keeps you strong. I think it's a reasonable thing to do, and if you do it, you know, try and stick to it, and you know, use this time to reflect on the Passion of Christ. Use this time to reflect on where we're in life, where we're going in life, and what we can do with this short life that God has given us on this earth. And it is really short, really, really short. So how can you do better for God? How can you help build the kingdom more effectively? And just on a human level, I've got a wee rule. I try never, ever go through a day without an act of kindness towards somebody. Now you might think, well, who's got the time for that? I'll tell you what that means. When you're in the shop, like I was yesterday, some old woman's babbling away to you and it's freezing cold. The car's running, the dog's in the car. It could end up doing the toilet in the car as it normally does. And I'm desperate to get out the shop. And a wee woman starts yabbling to me. And my first reaction is, how are you doing? Thanks, bye. And go away. No, I says, just this wee woman is lonely. She maybe lives alone. Her husband's dead. She's going back to a cold, empty house because they can't afford to be heating on. So, Jim, spend 10 minutes just talking to this wee woman. And that's what I've done. And I think we should, and I'm not saying that to big myself up with that, but I think we all need to be conscious of that. Let's have a wee bit more time for others and use our time a bit more wisely. Give our time more freely to people, even if they're a pain in the neck. Some all drunk, speak to them. Don't give them money for more drink. Say to them, how you doing, brother? What happened to you? Why are you in this, Nick? And speak to them like a human being. So let's try that. And I think we should do that during Lent. That's what I'll do. Ken Wood tells you, Domino pizzas is dog food. Well, can I tell you a wee quick story? I'm well over my time now. This is terrible. I'm going to get into terrible trouble. The guy who owned Domino Pizzas was a devout Roman Catholic. They sold that chain several years ago. And for the hundreds and hundreds of millions ago, he built that big Catholic university in Florida. And he gave himself like 100,000 quid to live the rest of his life on. What a man. What a man. That's what he done. The guy used to own Domino Pizzas. It was Irish extraction. Good on him. Anyway, here is this, the day of wrath, because we have to remember and contemplate that terrible judgment day will be upon us. No doubt about it. And we want to hear those marvelous words. Well done, my faithful servant. We don't want to hear, depart from me, I never knew you. Do you remember the ones that went to Jesus and said, Lord, have we not cast out demons in your name and performed miracles and that? And he said, depart from me, I never knew you. We want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. So let us contemplate that as we listen to this beautiful Gregorian ancient chant, and God bless each and every one of you. I will be back with you on Sunday if the good Lord preserves me, but until then, God bless you all, and a happy Lent to you all, and a successful Lent to you all. And remember, until we meet again, stick close to God. You won't go far wrong. Dus Volt.
Quis un miser cum dicturus, quem